Yes, exactly. So here we are at our second review for Government and the Rise of Parties. And if you want to giggle, you can giggle. That's okay. That stuff all does make it onto YouTube. And so today we're going to be starting from the Gilded Age and try to get to the modern era. And as I told the class yesterday, and I'll tell you again today, if I go too fast, don't worry, because this is it is being taped and it will be on YouTube, and you can see the PowerPoint there. So if I go too fast and you're still writing something, don't worry, you've got the chance to go back and view this, play it, stop it, pause it, and do as you like as you watch it, as it were. All right, so our first look at how politics and government is changing is with the Gilded Age. This is right after the Civil War. There we go. And the rise of the political boss is happening. Yes, this is Boss Tweed. Who drew that cartoon? Thomas Nast. Right? Thank you, Sam. We'll get your name there now too. Credit for that. So yes, politics is starting to change after the Civil War. All right, we looked at aspects of that book, This Republic of Suffering, that looked at the Civil War from the point of view of death, and how death changes a lot of things in this country. It changed not only socially, which that's the bigger part of the change, but also politically in a lot of respects. The Republican Party, when we were last together, we talked about, was formed and came together for what particular reason? And it deals with slavery, but remember, they're not necessarily abolitionists. Stop the expansion or the spread of slavery in the western lands. That was still taken from Mexico in the Mexican War. During the Civil War, you get this element of radicalism within the Republicans. Right? Now you have these individuals like Thaddeus Stevens and Charles Sumner who absolutely want to not only bring an end of slavery, but to make whites and blacks on equal footing. They're going to push forth the 14th and 15th Amendments, your right of citizenship by birth, and then your right to vote. But when the war comes to an end and Reconstruction starts to come to an end, more of the conservative element within the Republican Party begins to take over. Right? All that death, all that destruction, that was a lot to have to go through. Now Republicans are always going to be able to win elections early on, if you remember, because they're going to do something called waving the bloody shirt. Do you remember that? What did that imply? The South started the war. And the South is equated to what political party? The Democrats. So when Republicans wanted to win elections early on, they would wave the bloody shirt, as it were. Sometimes they'd literally have a bloody shirt with them. And that's where that expression comes from. You know, they'd also talk about vote as you shot. You have this large Union Army that is now retired into civilian force and are going to be loyal Republicans. Right, so vote as you shot. The Republican Party gets very strong at this time. Up until the Civil War, the South had dominated politics. No Southern man had won no Northern man had won re-election until Abraham Lincoln. Now the North starts to dominate politics. One of the ways they do is through the political machinery, the spoil system, party patronage. This is starting to become more of a corrupt system. Now, both parties have elements of this. The Democrats especially need the political machines. This is how they are able to stay as a national party after the Civil War. But the Republicans will have it as well. A lot of it does become corrupt. Of course, William Tweed's name was up there, and Thomas Nast's name was up there, so you're able to get that idea that what this cartoon was. Now, how did the political machinery work at the local level, right? It started first with the cities. How does that work? Anyone remember? What are they doing, Josh?
Like they'll speed up the immigration process to get them as citizens if they vote the way the boss wants them to.
Immigration is a huge power source to them. Speed up the immigration process, the naturalization process. Make them citizens as quickly as you can. We're going to give you a place to live. We're going to give you a job. You're going to vote the way I want you to vote. In counting, there is strength. They control the votes. This is at the local level, the city levels at first. Once you control the cities, you are able then to start to spread out and control the state legislation. Once you can control the state, it was easy to start controlling aspects of Congress, especially what part? The Senate. Why the Senate?
Because they were appointed.
Because you're appointed. You're not running for election yet. There are chairs over here if you want to walk around. We have a couple open ones over here. Yes, because you're able to appoint senators. So a type of corruption emerges, right? Some of these political bosses, like Roscoe Conkling, made himself a senator. George Washington Plunkett, right? I saw my opportunities and I took them, right? He became a senator. So they're using this in a way to politically gain for themselves and financially gain for themselves. You also have these presidents of this time period, sometimes called the forgettable presidents. A lot of them you never heard of until you came here. Chester Arthur. Seriously, who had ever heard of Chester Arthur before we actually had to sit in an American history class? Grover Cleveland. Right? These are names that, who are these people? But they owe their allegiance to the political bosses, starting with Grant. And that led to a lot of corruption, right? There's a lot of scandal in Grant's administration, right? Can you name me the biggest scandal in his time period? Credit mobilier, right? Or mobile, if you say it in French, perhaps. This idea of creating a false construction company for the Union Pacific Railroad. Railroads becomes a big thing for the political parties, right? We want to spread west. We want to encourage migration west. So they begin to really tie into the railroads, the first of the big monopolies. This starts to put the Republicans further and further into the corner or the pocket of the monopolists. Your Andrew Carnegies, your Rockefellers, right? Where we want to promote industry and business, and especially in the beginning, railroads. Right? So we're going to push railroads, and that led to a great scandal. Right? The government is paying a construction company that does not exist. Right? This is happening under Grant's administration. Presidents really aren't recognizing the people at this time period. The one Democrat, Grover Cleveland. People support the government. Government does not support the people. Right? That's the way they think at this time period. This is classical liberalism. Right? This is how this is. Small government, state rights issues are more important. Laissez-faire economics. We stay out of the affairs of individuals. The Corrupt Bargain Part 2, 1877. This is right after the election of 1876. Rutherford B. Hayes, right? He did not win the popular vote. Samuel Tilden of New York won it, a Democrat. But the Republicans want to stay in power. So the Republicans begin to negotiate. What are they negotiating? What does home rule mean in the South? What is going to come to an end? Reconstruction. You guys can talk loud. It's okay if your voices are heard. Reconstruction ends, right? This is the way politics is working now. Politics is more about the party and the machine, right? More so than the thought of the common man. Andrew Jackson was the common man guy, right? That's the way politics were pre-Civil War. Now it's more about the party. Now it's more about what the party wants and the political machines. And what do you gain out of this? Well, the Republicans gained the White House. The Democrats got back the South. And once they got back the South, they began to dominate Congress. So this is why we refer to it as a corrupt bargain part 2. The Republicans eventually become split. Stalwarts and half-breeds. Right? Do you remember what the issue is between these two types of Republicans? Goes back to something that's been around since Jefferson.
Slavery.
Not slavery, no, slavery's gone. Right? Slavery's gone now, so you can't talk that. That's long gone. We're in the Gilded Age now, guys. But how did you keep your political party together? Party patronage, which became what? Spoil system, which is this political machinery. You've got the issue with the Republicans is who controls party patronage? The stalwarts stand stalwart. They're unmovable. They're going to continue party patronage. Their leader is Roscoe Conkling. They're the majority of the Republican